The following podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. These episodes may include discussions about trauma, mental health, or sensitive personal experiences. Medical, psychological, or therapeutic advice. The views expressed on these of the host, the guest, are not substitute for professional guidance. If you're in need of medical, mental health support, please consult a licensed professional. Listener's discretion.
Podcast. I'm going to do the whole podcast about one word just because it's so important and so essential for our society to understand. And that is victimhood. See, victimhood is super detrimental. There's one thing that it's a victim, which is part of a situation where, say, someone they get robbed, so they're a victim of the robbery. Someone takes something from someone. But victimhood is a state of mind. It's a place where people go to feel more power. But the problem is it actually takes the power away from people. Now, how does it do that? It makes someone else wrong and them right. So if someone's in the right, they feel like they have power, but then they can't do anything about it. If you're always the victim of someone doing something around you, say it's your significant other. So it's your girlfriend that's causing problems. And you go to all your friends and tell them how horrible she is and what she's doing. Instead of taking accountability for that situation and then learning from it and moving forward and finding a solution. So that's the one huge thing that victimhood takes away from people is accountability. Because when someone's accountable, then they have to be responsible for what's going on. No longer can they be the victim. And they do not want anything to do with a solution. Being a victim and in the victimhood situation, to you, just ask for a solution. What do you want to do? And they will avoid it at all costs. They will run from that question. They'll probably ask a question to your question. So they'll never answer it. And I say, stay on that line of communication. What do they want to do? Because a victim will find any reason to be a victim. I used to work with a guy that was a victim from everything. Like even if he got something good, say he got a $2,000 bonus, right, from work, and he's like, oh, so I'm going to have to pay taxes on it, and this and that. And I was like, dude, you just got $2,000. I didn't really get $2,000. I'm like, when are you going to be happy? And that's what victimhood takes from you. It robs your life away. And not only yours, everyone around it, if they participate in that victimhood. And it's so detrimental. And it's something we have to recognize that's going on because it happens a lot in certain cultures or groups around the world. And they do it as leverage. They'll find people who they want to use guilt and shame, usually is a good leverage that victimhood uses, and they wield it quite well. They want to shame you into feeling like you're doing wrong. So then you always want to do something for them. So now you have to make amends. They want you in their pocket. And what I found interesting is one of my teachers said, what's their payoff? So if someone becomes a victim, what do they get out of it? Any situation, whether it's good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, what does someone get out of it? And answer that question. What does someone get out of it when, say, the instance between me and my girlfriend, and I become a victim? That she's a super horrible person, always nagging me. I get to get away with sympathy from a bunch of people. Right? Maybe I get more attention. And maybe I get her to have more compliance because now I make her the person who's at fault. And she has to make amends to me. And I have her in my pocket now. I gain something from that. But the problem is it destroys relationship. And it's fascinating to see how it will infiltrate. And there may have been a serious situation where someone did something and they feel bad from that. And then someone will go in and use that as a leverage instead of like, hey, let's find a happy medium. So if I did do something, I'm accountable around it, and then we move forward. We don't hold on to that situation and hold it against a person for eternity, and it will cause devastation. There's not some sort of forgiveness if there is something happen, and that resentment builds and builds, and it causes destruction. And how do we go forward from victimhood? What we do is we find out if it's something happened, to be accountable around it. If someone gets in a situation where if you're in an unhealthy relationship, you're accountable for your part in the unhealthy relationship, because it's never completely one person. There's relationships where you can't change it. Like, say someone's living in a country with a dictator who's unhealthy. Yeah, you can't escape that. And you have the right of being some sort of victim, but a lot of people have options, especially in the modern Western world. And using victimhood as a leverage is just completely unhealthy. Now, let me pull to the dictionary consequences. Get more angry and bitter. They have low resilience, poor mental health, and they stall growth. If we don't come accountable and stay in the victim part, we don't grow. We don't become better people. If we're always pointing at everything around us, we'll stall out. We'll get immature and we'll be dissatisfied a lot. And I think we're all guilty of being victims. This is where we learn to progress through as we become older and learn to handle it a certain way. But if we don't have good teachers around us, it makes it a lot more difficult, because that's usually the example of our parents. And if our parents weren't there to show it, then it's important to find it somewhere else, because then you're stuck in a vicious cycle, which it's unhealthy for everyone. So the more someone becomes victim, trust is lost. Victimhood can give short-term benefit, such as sympathy, moral high ground, but long-term it creates a vicious loop of hurt, story, resentment, less action, worse outcome. There's a lot of victimhood that's going on nowadays because people aren't owning their own stuff. People are pointing fingers everywhere. And the people that haven't even done anything, they're pointing fingers at. And it's important to see that. It's important to recognize it and move away from it. And if you have to deal with it in a very civil manner, but keep your distance, because it's just not healthy, especially if you're raising kids. Them that they need to own and be accountable for their actions, and they move through it because they could get stuck in it. And then they'll have severe depression. It just keeps snowballing to a place that just tears people apart and communities apart. Find out where it is, what it's doing. And like I always say, build a community around you. Sometimes we get stuck in these things, these little mental loops, and we need community to help us see that in a respectable manner. And have my friend go, hey, you just keep complaining about this one thing. What's going on? I'm like, oh, really? I have been saying it a lot. Maybe I need to stop saying that and stop thinking it. Let me take more proactive part and stop doing that, because it's hurting me. It's hurting everyone around me. Turn back to my podcast if you haven't seen it already, where it's about my pre-fight checklist for relationships, so you could find out who's in your social network around you. Make sure that they keep showing up and keep lifting you up, because any good relationship needs to be healthy. That is close. The closer it gets and the more toxic someone is, the more victimhood that happens with them, the more rip you apart. So keep aware. Ask them a series of questions like, hey, how can we resolve this? What do you need? What would make it better? What do you think? So what's important with a victim is you need to put the responsibility onto them. Even if you know the answer, put it onto them. So it's the best way to learn is to the person to make their own answers and to come up with it themselves. They need a place to move through. Life is hard. Life is gritty. Life is uncomfortable. But with the right people around you and avoiding the whole victimhood thing is a huge step in a progress to something better. So, what do we take from this? Avoid victimhood people. It's not healthy. Have them find their own solutions and just own the fact that some situations are uncomfortable and you have to live through them and work with them, or you'll just be miserable. And that's a sad life. So join me on my other podcasts. I have great information just like this, and I'll see you next time.